Hey everyone, and welcome back to the stream. Today, we're going to be having some discussions about upcoming exam changes. We're going to talk about some of the new code books that are happening, and we're going to talk about, is it too late in the year to start learning medical coding, or should we just hold off until next year? If you're new here, I'm Victoria Vo. I am a medical coder, auditor, educator, and content creator. And on my channel, I provide tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you be successful in a medical coding career. If you are coming in after the fact, hit me up with a hashtag replay. Let me know what is your favorite part of the live stream. So, one of the questions coming in here today, is it true this year there are changes? Yes, we have changes every single year. I don't know that there's been a single year that there really hasn't been changes, but we can talk about that because there's definitely some things to consider when we're talking about what's going on in the world of medical coding, which is always changing. Um, I this is usually the part where I like to play my intro video. I still have not updated the music on that since I got that little, like, copyright right I don't wanna say copyright strike or claim, but someone's like, "This isn't your audio," and I guess there was some kind of change. I used to have that my video start out with that, like, "da da 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 da," and I don't know if the licensing information changed at a certain date because they haven't back gone and taken those audios out, but, like, the new ones, they're like, "No, you can't use that anymore," and I'm like, "Oh, oh." News to me. So, we're coming in here today from YouTube, from LinkedIn, and to Facebook. Hopefully, I haven't checked the stream yet. I have been having mad issues lately with some of these live streams not coming in, and StreamYard has just been, I don't know, a little touchy lately. I actually haven't live streamed in a while because my internet has been kind of spotty in my office. There is so my office is in an old town hall. It is a very solid brick building, and I'm in the basement. And my internet wasn't always great, but I didn't realize how bad it was until I tested my Wi-Fi here versus upstairs and realized that I'm getting like 40 megs per second down here, and they're getting like 600 upstairs. So I direct wired my stuff in, but it still seems a little funny. Anyway, yeah, so um AAPC had some exam changes lately, and let me see if I can bring it up because I didn't see it on the website, but I did see it on Facebook. And it kills me every time they change the exams because you know what happens when they change the exams and it's something significant? I wind up spending $400 and I get a new credential that I now have to get CEUs for that I wasn't really planning getting CEUs for. I might have to reach out and be like, "Yo, guys, is there a way that I can talk about some of these things that are going on without, me spending money and having to sit for a new certification exam because it's getting a little much." Um, Let me see if I can do this. Maybe if I do an incognito window so that you can't all see my personal Facebook stuff. Okay, here we go. No, stop, I don't wanna do that. Okay. Maybe if I just share part of my screen. Present, share screen. Does this allow you to do part of a screen? Maybe not. Mhm. Okay, let me just do this then. Because I wanna show you exactly what is on the AAPC's Facebook pages and websites and stuff right now. Um, Because there's some stuff that's going on with how they administer the exams. Let me see if it'll let me do it this way. Because I didn't find it on their Instagram and stuff either. Okay, there we go. Entire screen over here. There we go. Let's see. So this is what I saw on the AAPC Facebook page. I took this off their Facebook page. So now I guess they're doing this new process when they're doing the online exams. Instead of it being through Examity, it's now through ProctorU. And I'm a little I don't wanna say concerned, but I'm a little confused, I guess, between some of the differences, and if anyone has experience with this, because it's pretty new, like, let me know. Um, but it says that the old process was proctor verified and prompted process, and the new is a self-guided check-in, so I'm guessing you just click boxes. I hate having to just visualize things and not being like, "This is what it looks like," because I saw it with my own eyes. But again, like, for me to see it with my own eyes would require me to spend $400 on a credential that I don't really want right now. And this is where I'm a little confused. It says the old process was to do the real-time room and desk pan with proctor guidance. So you would take your webcam, say this is my webcam, and, like, sweep around and show them under your desk and on the ceiling and all that. And now it says to take pictures of your surroundings, so I'm confused about that because I'm like, "Does anyone know? Does that mean are they still watching you through an external webcam? Do you still need the external webcam, or is it just you're taking pictures so that they can see that your surroundings are okay before you connect?" I'm I'm not understanding. Like, so you still have to have your ID, okay, but now instead of talking verbally, you just chat and have verbal communication, which I guess it's good to have the chat. And then you have a secure exam with Guardian browser, computer and admin privileges. I'm just struggling right now trying to, like, visualize and tell everyone what the difference is. So if anyone knows in the chat, like, let me know because so far I'm hearing a lot of people are saying Proctor U stinks, but you guys were saying the last one stunk too, and I know that, well, no system is completely perfect, but when I had it through Examity, I know the accents and stuff. Okay, so Jay is saying they watch you after they take the picture. So I'm guessing that the pictures is just so that they can stop you if you're like, "Here's my setup," and you submit the pictures and they're like, "Whoa, don't even turn on the camera because, like, your setup's not correct." That's what I'm guessing that's for. So they're still watching you after they take the pictures, which makes sense. But, like, it doesn't outline it here, and I couldn't find anything on the website, and maybe I'm just, like, crazy and I'm missing it, but I know there's, like, so much information sometimes here. It's like, here's okay, new code changes, 50% off. You would think that this would be, like, highlighted right on the main page, and it would be, like, right there. Plan and schedule your exam. Buy an exam voucher, redeem your exam voucher, schedule your exam, choose your exam format. Like, a lot of stuff was updated that I really like. Like, they have the comparison of the exam formats now. They talk about the live remote proctor versus the in-person at the testing center. Who will handle the testing at the testing center? Will that change? To best of my knowledge, it's still the testing center. I mean, they don't really need to take pictures of the testing center to make sure it's okay because it's already been vetted. So I don't believe the testing center stuff has changed. It's just the I'm guessing live remote proctor. What to expect. Here it is. Yeah, so they have this which I love the visuals. I love that they put this image on here now, and they're like, "This is what your setup is supposed to look like." Like, that's the best. So you can see the external webcam, the books, your clear bottle of water with no label. So I think having the visual is, like, so, so helpful. So live remote proctor, required room and desk setup. So yeah, so you have to do the speed test, blah, blah, blah. I know sometimes like there's so much data on the AAPC website. Parts of it they forget to update because I don't think they even realize like how many pages there are talking about the exam. But yeah, okay, so this is updated. Yeah, yeah. Download the Guardian browser, log in, click schedule, take your exam, start session. Pre-checks will need to be completed. Okay, so they did update the information on the website. Which is why I tell everyone, please go back to the AAPC website because, like, this is the information you wanna go by. What they're telling you for your exam on your day, because it's been changing a little more than I'm comfortable with lately. Because it's hard for me to keep up, like, it's all good changes, but man, do I might have to reach out. I need to see what's going on with this new Proctor U stuff. But then I'm gonna here's where Victoria struggles. If I take one now and I'm like, "Here's all the new ProctorU stuff," and that all helps you out. What happens then in a couple of months, they change over to eBooks, and then a couple of months later, they do, fill in the blank questions. I can't take, like, 6 exams. We gotta figure something out. I gotta get in touch with these people because I need to share with you guys. Because sometimes it's people just not that I'm like, "Ooh, I'm up here in the AAPC," like but sometimes, like, when stuff comes from the AAPC, it's like, "Oh, it's coming from the man," and people trust people who have done it personally versus it coming kind of, like, from the man. Alright. So, did they change the exam to fill in the blanks? Nina, that is a great question. That is still up in the I have not heard too much about that, and I definitely haven't heard a date yet. I know they still have added some into the practice exams, which are supposed to mimic the real exam, and format-wise, they are amazing. Um, it wouldn't shock me in the next year or 2, but I honestly haven't heard a date yet. I would think that if they're gonna change them starting January 1, that some of that communication would have started coming out yet, but I haven't heard anything yet, so it's still out there, it's still possible that they may have a small amount of them. My best guess is that they're probably still testing it and making sure that all the pieces are working appropriately before they're like, "Yes, this is definitely what we're gonna do." So we haven't seen fill in the blank questions yet. Um, and for those of you that are testing in the next couple of months, I just wanna reiterate this because it comes up around this time every single year, and, they're great questions. But, right now we're in this time frame where we have updated ICD-10-CM codes, right? Like, we have new ICD-10-CM books. I've got mine in paper, I've got mine in ebook format. Love it. Love my AAPC books, but I can't use them for the exam. And know why? Because the exam changes for calendar year. So those new codes aren't even going to appear in your exam until January 1, those new ICD-10-CM codes. They change the AAPC changes the exams based off of calendar year. So you're actually not allowed to bring your 2025 books to your exam until January 1 of 2025. Through the end of the year, you can either bring 2024 books or 2023. Starting January 1, you can bring 2025 books or 2024, so 1 calendar year back. I feel that. Bestie Bri says, "Oh my gosh, I'm studying so hard to finish by the end of the year and take my exam in 2025 by 2025 before they start making wild changes." Yeah. So, as far as the exam, content, as far as like, oh my gosh, like when we think about the exam and the exam changes from one year to the other, short of maybe the couple years where we had those huge E&M changes, there is a small amount of stuff that changes. Like, yeah, we had all these new codes and new code updates for like ICD-10-CM this year. I want to say there was a few hundred of them, maybe 700, 800. It was less than 1,000. I know that. So when the AAPC has all their exam banks and their study materials and everything that they need to update, it's not like every year they scramble and they're like, okay, throw all that out. We're going to make brand new stuff from scratch and we're going to put in all these new codes. And we're going to make sure that we focus, exclusively on all of the new codes that we have. That's not what happens. Companies, the AAPC, you, me, everyone, we're all inherently like a little bit lazy. Like we don't want to have to reinvent the wheel if we don't have to, right? So if all of the content they've made thus far is still accurate, they're not gonna go back and change it, right? They may add a couple of questions that pertain to the new questions, or they may go back and go, "Oh, you know what? This one now has an additional character extension. We have to change these 5 questions or this practice question," but they're not gonna go back and, like, be like, "Oh, we're gonna, make 700 new questions now because we have these new codes." So, the amount of content, if you look at, like, for example, the CPC curriculum from one year to the next, again, barring those huge E&M changes that we had in the past couple of years, it's like a small percentage of material that changes. If you look at the CPC training manual for 2023 and 2024, we're talking like a small, like 2% maybe of the content changed. So when we're talking about that small amount of curriculum content that's changed, because the process of medical coding doesn't change, right? You still look up the codes the same way, you still select the codes the same way. There's only the tiniest of percentages that something that has been updated is gonna appear on your exam. So, everything you learned in 2024 is still gonna be pertinent to 2025. There's just gonna be some code changes. So, with that in mind, like, then if you're someone who's just wanting to start medical coding now and you're like, "It's the end of the year and these code books change, like, every single year, should I start now?" Um, Honestly, the only thing that I could see really holding you back would be if you're like, "I don't wanna have to pay for new books next year." That's the only thing. And depending on what program you get in, they might already be sending you the 2025 ICD-10-CM books, or they might say, "Hey, let's hold off and, send you the 2025 CPT books later on," or something. So, it really depends. Although I have also personally seen some courses where it's like November, December, and they're like, "Oh, we've got the stock of the this current year's books, we're not gonna use the next ones." But I got my CPT book already for next year. Not the paper one, but I do have my 2025 ebook. If you guys haven't seen it, the AAPC sells bundles now, which I love, where you can get the paper books and they'll send you the ebooks for, like, almost like a bonus, like the same price. So I actually just got where am I? Whoop, here we go. Just got my 2025 CPT book, the ebook version. I haven't gotten the paper one yet. It'll probably be here soon. I think it takes a little longer for, for them to print them and ship them than it does to just have the ebook version. But yeah, I got my 2025 CPT book already. I love it. I wanna take a look at this real quick. I wonder if there's any, like, interactive elements or anything new here. It looks all pretty much the same. Yeah. I haven't looked at what new CPT codes have changed yet this year. I have seen the ICD-10-CM codes, and it hasn't really been anything earth-shattering for ICD-10-CM. Not sure about CPT yet, so we'll see there. But yeah, those are great if you can get the ebook and the paper book bundles because I like having both. I grabbed all of my books at a discount on Mercari or eBay and saved tons. Yeah, you might be able to. You just have to be careful about I would say the cautionary tales here are, if you're getting older books, sometimes those are good for studying, but if you're sitting for a CPC exam, it has to be current calendar year or 1 calendar year prior's books in order to sit for the examination, and the CPT book has to be the AMA edition only, which is like this year, the AMA Professional Edition, so it can't be like the I don't know, Bucks maybe does one or the AHIMA edition, it has to be this AMA edition. The other books can be whatever edition you want. They can be like the Optum 360 editions or whatever editions of ICD-10-CM or HCPCS, it's just the CPT book has to be a specific publisher edition. Oh, and the other thing I would caution you about is, I have seen some people bootlegging books, like, they're scanning their code books and scanning licensed material on Etsy. Um, I know that's tempting, but this is not like borrowing someone's Netflix password. This is literally your career that you could potentially be putting online by doing those sort of things and sharing licensed material. So, I personally don't think it's worth it, but, someone I saw was asking up here about the CRC. Let me pull it up. What are your thoughts about CRC coding? I think CRC coding is great, so risk adjustment coding. If you're not familiar with risk adjustment coding, it is coding just in ICD-10-CM. So if you're someone who doesn't like CPT, you don't like HCPCS, but you're like, "I love diagnosis coding," you can get jobs where you just do diagnosis coding. It's called risk adjustment, and you review, like, an entire year's worth of records for a patient and validate all of their diagnoses. 'cause there's certain diagnoses that risk adjust. That means that we know that they're a little bit more costly, we know they have a little bit more of a risk to them or more higher severity, and there's certain funding that goes associated with that, right? So they're looking for all those diagnoses that have that little extra cash attached to them. Um, it can be a little bit more seasonal with some of the contracts, but oftentimes, there are contracts where they're like, "We just need someone who knows diagnosis coding." They do sometimes take more entry level people when they're hiring for these huge projects that they have to do, and we'll do training. But yeah, I think the CRC is a good credential. Sometimes they will take the CPC for risk adjustment coding as well, even though it has parts that maybe you don't need or doesn't test as heavily on diagnosis coding as the CRC does. The CRC exam is the Certified Risk Adjustment Coder. It just tests on ICD-10 CM and concepts in risk adjustment. So you only need to take one book for the exam. I recently updated my risk adjustment review course. So if you're someone who wants to sit for a credential like the CRC or like the AHEMA RAC, or something similar, that will give you a good refresher or confirmation of your knowledge, or it's a really good course that you can check out, and that's on my website, and it's all brand new material. What's the technique for taking the exam and not running out of time? Okay, so you can skip questions on the exam. So you want to get familiar with that exam platform so that you know confidently how to do that. There's a couple of ways you can do that, and that is with, let's see if I can figure my little guy out here. I did it. Sweet. Okay. So if you go onto the AAPC website here, and there's plan and schedule. Is it under plan and schedule or prepare? Let's see here. Okay. Locate, schedule, redeem, what to expect. Here we go. What to expect. I know there's something here starting your exam day. Exam duration. I know somewhere on here they have a video that shows the exam block. Where is it? Download your Guardian browser, speed test, live remote proctor. There is a video on here somewhere. I can't seem to find it now. um, maybe it's on the list. Maybe they have a link on the PDF. But if you can find the video and you can see what the platform looks like, they'll give you a tutorial of, like, everything, how to click on things and how to skip questions and stuff. Because that's important if you're having a question that you're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know the answer to this." You don't wanna get stuck on it. You wanna know how to go through the functions of skipping that or flagging it and coming back to it. You can do that with the AAPC practice exams as well, which is why I now say, like, I recommend that you get the official practice exams. You can get other ones if you want. Some of them aren't so great. I've seen some people that they just take, like, outdated information that they found on the internet and form questions, or they have outdated stuff, or they just put them together and throw it on Amazon because they know they can do it and, attach a generic name to it, and sometimes I'm sure we're even seeing now AI generated stuff in there that's just not quality. So let's see here. Training and events, CPC, and you can find the practice exams there. I don't wanna bring up my practice exams because I don't wanna accidentally show something that I maybe am not supposed to. Because I did get special permission to show in a prior video, but that doesn't mean I can just open it up right now and show you. But yeah, if you get these AEPC practice exams, the bundles, they're great. Oftentimes with the AEPC, they'll run deals where you can see like, oh, if you buy your exam, we'll throw in a practice exam, we'll throw in a study guide for you for free. So look out for stuff like that. When should one buy the code books, before or after graduation? It depends on your goals. If you're planning on sitting for a certification exam, I would wait until you get, well, okay, so let's back up 1 second. If you're studying, of course, you're going to need code books, so you need them to study with. Um, I would be a little concerned if you're going through a training program and they don't have at least ebooks or electronic books available to you. As far as buying the code books, Like, let's say you're going through a program like Preppy where they give you the ebooks, and now you're like, "You know what? I'm someone who I wanna sit for the CPC exam." Not everyone does, so they don't always issue those books to keep the cost down because some people just wanna do billing, right? But if you're like, "Hey, I wanna take the CPC, I need my books," buy your books when you're planning on taking your exam or shortly around that time. So that way you can get familiar with going through the books that are paper and studying with them, practicing for the exam with them. I haven't heard anything yet about the ebooks, although I haven't been up to snuff on the lives and stuff with the AAPC because I've been kind of busy rebuilding that course, and then I had to do some presentations, and I got married last week, so it's been kind of a whole thing. Um, do I have review classes for the CPB? I am not the biggest billing aficionado, so I don't have CPB stuff. You know who does though that's awesome? Christine Hall. So I would check what's her website? Because I know she's been doing a lot of them lately. She's been doing a lot of stuff. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what my good friend Christine Hall has. Christine Hall, I think, has CPB stuff, so I would recommend her because she's amazing. And I think she just got some stuff. Let's see. Is it under resources? Podcast, Ask Christine, webinars, shop, maybe? It's probably under shop. Healthcare reimbursement, coding in the Caribbean, healthcare reimbursement, medical coding, online prep course. Yeah, she has some prep course stuff. Review classes. So maybe that's what I want to be looking for. There we go. On-demand medical billing exam review. That's the one you want from Christine Hall. She has CPB classes. You can do those with hers on demand. She's awesome. Would it be better to purchase the new books and take the test in the new year, or should I just use the 2024 books? Um, if you're using 2024 books in 2025, I really don't see a problem with that because the changes are gonna be pretty small. If you're concerned about that, you could try, like, writing in your new books, like, if you get a list sometimes if you have, like, an encoder, like Codify or Select Coder or iCoder, I think might have them too. They have oftentimes a listing, like, here's all the codes that change, so you could date your 2024 book instead of having to spend all that money on new ones. Elizabeth says she likes the Optum books. I've been tempted to get the AAPC books. Are there any differences? I'm really not sure anymore because it's been a minute since I bought Optum books, and short of companies donating them to me, like, that's kind of a girthy expensive. I would love to do a video where I'm like, "I compared all of the different editions of medical coding books, and here's what I found." Um, but I feel like that would be a lot to invest. Victoria, tell us about the CDEO credential. So the CDEO, Certified Documentation Expert Outpatient. So that's for we used to say CDI, and I think we still do Certified Documentation Improvement Expert. So it's like CDI, but for outpatient, so professional fee and outpatient coding. It's a little bit of auditing, a little bit of documentation improvement, communication with providers, how to do queries, I'm sure. I've not taken that one, so I don't have personal experience with that. And it's not something that I am currently interested in pursuing, and I don't really currently have plans to make prep materials for. And they also have one that's for inpatient as well now, so the CDEI, Certified Documentation Improvement Inpatient one. Okay. Hit the mute button on my microphone, and it messed up the streaming software. That's so crazy. Let me just check and make sure that my mic is still working. Okay, it is, thank God. The last time it froze my whole stream. I don't know why it did that, but now I gotta remember I have to hit the mute button here instead of, like, the one that's physically on my bike mic. Mm. Yeah, Crystal says there's a good bit of compliance on the CDEO as well, which makes sense. Princess is asking a good question. What's your advice for taking a pay cut for being able to work remote? So I guess you would have to kind of look at it from your financial aspect as well as your work-life balance aspect. Because of course we can calculate, we can go, okay, well, I'm going to save X amount of money in gas and wear and tear on my car and X amount of money on, not having to buy office wear. Although somehow I swear I have more clothes now than I did when I worked in the office, even though somehow I just have t-shirts and sweatshirts and gym wear. I think that's most of my closet right now. Um, but then, of course, we have to think about, like, from our work-life balance situation, from our stress management aspects, is that gonna be more worth it? Because to me, there's a lot of things that I could do that would make me a ton of money, but I have no interest in doing them. It's not what I wanna do. It would stress me out. It would make me unhappy, and it's worth more to me to just not do those and not have that money to then to just, stress myself out. Which also can come with costs, things like your, increased health aspects, if you're mentally unwell because of having to go in person or having to do a certain thing. Do I have a CPMA prep course or any recommendations? I do not. I do not. So I would have to currently defer either back to the AAPC or, you can also check NAMUS, the National Alliance of Medical Auditing Specialists. They have a lot of great CPMA material as well. Of the 2 practice tests, which is best? So I'm guessing in this question, we're talking about the practice exams on the AAPC website. So we have let's go back and see if I can find them. Practice exams. Um, so there's 2 options here. We have bundle A, B, and C, D, E, and F. Neither one is better than the other. They are both equal in every way, shape, and form. They are different questions. They are the same difficulty, same level of preparedness. You cannot go wrong with either selection. One is not better than the other. When we talk about, the CPC exam, we have to remember that we can't say, "Oh, well, yeah, you can buy this bundle, and then we'll have some questions that are gonna better get you prepare you for the exam." The CPC exam is randomized from a test bank. There's my best guess would be over 1,000 questions, because when I look at the material that they give instructors, it's a test bank of over 1,000 questions, right? Or at least close to. So I imagine the actual exam bank is at least 1,000 questions. So we've got 1,000 questions. They're all graded, I'm sure, based off of, like, difficulty level and so forth and categorized as far as, these are the anesthesia questions, these are the cardiology questions, respiratory questions, these are the ear questions, etcetera. And then they randomize them on your exam. So any question in the exam bank, if we look at the, example of it's like 1,000, let's say 1,000 questions in the exam bank, you would have a 1 in 1,000 chance of any particular question being on your exam, right? So eh, to say like, "Oh, yeah, definitely memorize these questions," or "This question was on my exam, it's gonna be on your exam," it's we can't say that anymore. It used to be true because when we were on paper exams, they would have different editions of the exams. There would be an edition 1, an edition 2, an edition 3, etcetera. We don't have that anymore. Someone's saying I froze. I don't know, it looks okay on my end, and I plugged directly into my internet today, so I shouldn't be having freezing issues, but if anyone else is saying I froze, let me know because that might be maybe it's a LinkedIn thing. Um, but yeah, so we can't say anymore like, "Oh, yeah, they're gonna ask you this question or this question." There's some certain concepts that because they come up a lot or are more difficult, that they might have like 5 different questions testing on that concept. Like, they might say, for example, the cause and effect association with diabetes and other conditions, right? With that term "with." So they might have 6 different questions in the exam bank that test on that concept, but you could get any possibly one of those 6 questions on your exam or none of them. So it's hard to really say now, "Oh, yeah, definitely study these questions or this." It's really more so the concepts that you have to study for the exam. I don't know why LinkedIn froze, that's crazy. Hmm. Well, thank you guys for transferring over from LinkedIn to YouTube. I don't know what the heck happened there. Um, yeah, lots of good questions coming in today. We're 37 minutes in already. Congrats on your wedding. Thank you guys. I eloped out in the Poconos. It was a beautiful day. Very nice. Beautiful foliage and everything. It's great. Can you please do a recording of the 2027 for ICD-10-CM guidelines in its entirety? I'm actually partway through doing that for 2025, only 'cause it's we're out of 2024 guidelines. We're now in 2025 guidelines for ICD-10-CM. So yeah, I do have that coming up. Working on it. Uh, I think if I sat and recorded it in its entirety, it would take me about 4 to 5 hours, assuming that I didn't skip over anything or mess up a word. So I'm doing it in chunks and kind of piecing it all together. Sophie says, "Hi, I'll be completing my medical billing and coding classes this month. When do you think would be a good time to sit for the CPC exam before the changes?" Well, you don't wanna wait too late, because if something happens and then you don't pass, you have to take it next year, and if you don't wanna buy new code books yet and all that, you run into those kind of problems. I would say maybe November would be a good time. I would give yourself maybe a few weeks to really go through some review classes. So if you're taking the CPC, go through some of those practice exams, re-go through some of your training material. So for example, I love the step-by-step books, but a lot of instructors, they'll only assign certain questions. They'll say, "Oh, do questions 1 through 5 or do the evens or the odds." Go back and do those extras. Look at the areas where maybe you didn't do so well or test so well. So if you're like, "Hey, you know what? I'm still struggling with evaluation and management," go back and maybe look for some additional resources on E&M coding. You could see if any of the chapters are having remote meetings that might pertain to that or anything that you could focus on. So, yeah, I would definitely give yourself a few weeks to really hone in on like exam strategy. So like you've done the general training, but like now we're focusing in on CPC exam. Like, what is it I need to know? Jennifer Chavez asks, when attending local chapters and you're not certified yet with your CPC, do you still accumulate CEUs? Or would it be more for just professional insight or education networking? Exactly, for professional insight and education. So if you're a member of the AAPC, you can go to AAPC chapter member meetings. If you're not a member of the AAPC, you can go to a couple of chapter meetings before they ask you to become a member, but you can't earn CEUs. So the CEUs are for your certification and you can't start earning CEUs until you are certified. So if you take your exam on November 1st and you pass, you can't use any CEUs that or CEU opportunities that you may have done in October, right? So once you start getting your certification, then you can start earning CEUs. Bassett asks, "Is CPC pattern change in 2025?" Nope, exact same patterns, exact same everything. Unless we hear otherwise directly from the AAPC, it's gonna be the exact same numbers of questions on E&M, on cardiology, on ICD-10-CM. There's nothing. The only thing that will change is, any codes that have been updated in 2025 will be reflected in the 2025 exam. That's it. Yeah, they don't there's no huge bombshells that they drop from year to year. The biggest changes have been, like, the going from the paper exams to the electronic exams. They don't generally change huge amounts of things without you knowing well, well, well in advance. Oh, and the other one was changing the amount of questions. So it used to be 150, now it's 100. You used to have 5 hours and 40 minutes, now it's 100 questions. So, or now it's 4 hours rather. So yeah, it's, usually when they change things, it's because 'cause they're trying to improve it, make it better, not necessarily make it easier, but make the exam process better. Um, I have a question here, Victoria. I've been interested in medical billing and coding for a few years. Unfortunately, years ago, I obtained a felony conviction. Will this bar me from obtaining employment in medical coding? It's really hard to say because that's more of a employer thing. Um, Depends on what employers are doing background checks. I feel like I did cover this with a recruiter a couple years ago. And I guess it really depends on the health institute and how strict they are, if they have, like, an overall kind of sweeping thought process on that because of having to deal with patients, And of course, we have to consider, like, is it something that would have potentially bar you from the Medicare program, that sort of thing. But, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to check back with some of my recruiter friends and ask about that, like, kinda get a feel for what's going on. What certification is best after CPC? There really isn't any blanket best, but I did cover something on my channel not too what I want at all. It's not too long ago that can kinda help you personally go through the process and determine what you might wanna go through. So let's take a look at my channel, and I can show you where that video is so it can kinda direct you where you need to kind of focus on or figure out. Let's see here. Here we go. So if we look over here, this is what credential is best after CPC medical coding certification. Check that video out because it'll start giving you some tips on what you need to do to figure out what's best for you. Victoria, how do you feel about coding on paper charts? I heard a friend is currently working at a super small practice and providers still charts on paper. Have you ever coded paper charts? Yes. In fact, for many, many years, because I've been in coding for 15 years, I would get either usually scans of the paper charts. They wouldn't usually send me the papers. Occasionally, I would get inter-office mail with some papers. Um, but usually I would get, like, scans of it, so I would access a certain drive, and there would be those scans of the paper charts. I've heard about that still, especially with things like nursing homes. I feel like that's more prevalent, like, providers will go into nursing homes, and they're like, "For the 2 days a month I go to into this nursing home, I'm not gonna bother learning your system, so just give me a paper chart and I'll write on it." Um, it's definitely, um, uh, some compliance issues there, some adherence to regulation issues there. I'm not all up to snuff on exactly what it is that's, fines or penalties or whatever for not using an EMR or writing things in a paper but chart. So there certainly still are paper charts out there, and in small practices, I could see that still happening, but not too much anymore. In any way, can you help with coding denials? Unfortunately, I personally do not. With everything going on with the channel, and with my contract work, I really don't have time to kind of personally take on a lot of projects. I'm from India. Can I get a medical coding job in the US? So, what you would need to do is look into certifications that are available in India. You can check AAPC Global, get training in your area. And there are places that do hire coders that are located outside of the United States, like India, Pakistan, the Philippines. However, I will tell you that the reason that they do that they would offshore medical coding would be for cost reasons. So they're looking to cut costs. If you're looking to get a medical coding job working for a company in the United States, but you're not located in the United States, they're not gonna pay you what they pay a United States coder. They're gonna pay you significantly less because the reason that they're offshoring is because they don't want to have to pay you as much. If they wanna pay as much, they just hire coders that are in the United States. Kara King asks, "What notes did you include in your CPC and ICD-10 CM coding books for when you took the exam?" Not a lot. Little things that I kind of scrolled down as I was studying, but I didn't use a note system. I personally don't believe in note systems. I know some people swear by them, but I was not one that felt that highlighting my book or turning it into an activity book or a color book or a word search was the best method for me personally. I found it personally too distracting. I was more focused on just kind of learning the concepts, but if there were certain things that I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I gotta remember this," I would write it in my book, but I really can't say, "Oh, yeah, it was this specific thing," or "These are the things," or "Copy my notes," or whatever, and personally, I think copy my notes and here's what I wrote is not the most ethical practice, I'll just say. What's my favorite EMR that I've coded out of? Probably Epic. There's a lot to it, but it made it easier. Sorry if you've already answered, but did you hear you mentioned in a video that the CBCS certification is not great? I was led to believe this was the CPC exam until I came across your channel. No, the CBCS is from a different organization. It's only really accepted in like pockets of areas in the United States. So there's certain health systems in certain areas that will take it. And I'm sure it's fine for billing jobs, but if you wanna get a job specifically in medical coding, they're really looking for credentials through AAPC or AHIMA. It's like the Coke or Pepsi. If people are sitting down for a dinner at a nice restaurant, they're probably good chances looking for a Coke or a Pepsi product. They're not looking for Diet Dr. Pibb. They're not looking for, those off-brand things, and that's what AAPC and AHIMA is. They're the brand name familiar things that most people are stocking, most people want. How much is the salary package CDC expect in the US? I would say go into Google and type in, um, AAPC salary calculator, and they can give you a better idea because it's not like I can't say, "Oh, it's gonna be $40 an hour, or $20 an hour, 40,000 a year." It really depends on so many different things, and you can find out more. I do have a video on that as well, but I would say go to the AAPC. Come on, take me to the salary calculator. There it is, salary calculator. So the AAPC has a coding salary calculator, and you can say, like, what state you're living in, what certifications you have, what your role, responsibility, education is, and it'll kind of give you a ballpark. But as far as if you're located in India, you're not gonna make what a US coder makes. You're gonna make significantly less because the only reason they offshore is so that they can pay you less and cut their costs. Yeah, Charlie B says the clinic he works for still does paper charts. So, yeah, they're still out there. I've still seen them. Not my favorites. Um, and I definitely remember days where we would, like, especially the hospitalists, because again, I could never escape the hospitalists, scrawling things, and we would have to bring, like, 3 of us over, and we'd be, like, bent over the monitor, like, looking at this and be like, "Well, can you rotate it sideways?" And, like, trying to figure out, like, "What does that say?" And it'd be, like, the most random squiggle, and it'd be like, "Oh my god, it says SSS, it's sick sinus syndrome, that's what that means," like, so definitely EMR has made that a lot easier. Although I do kind of miss that camaraderie of, like, looking at the chicken scratch and being like, "Can anyone who can make this out today?" Right? If you went to school for medical billing and coding, would that count as experience? I've heard many jobs require experience. So your training does not count as on the job experience. What counts as on the job experience is internships, externships, volunteer positions, and then working for in organizations, revenue cycle, healthcare, insurance companies, etc. Practicode in the eyes of employers does not count as experience. It can help get your apprenticeship status removed, which they've been teasing that they're gonna get rid of for years and still haven't. Project, I'm sure, in the works. Um, but yeah, it doesn't count as what the only thing that counts on the job experience is doing those internships, externships, working in a healthcare field. Let me go back up. I had some more questions back up here. I'm gonna scroll through. How do you remember what is being done during a procedure when you don't have access to look it up during the exam? What is being done? Oh, so as far as like you mean like Googling what a procedure is, that yeah, that you won't if you're not familiar with certain procedures, you could write notes like that in your book. But as far as your knowledge, you should have at least adequate knowledge base of the surgeries themselves to kind of at least make an educated guess and at least follow the coding guidelines and coding materials. else have I got here? Oh, there was something else I wanted to cover today. What was it? Code changes. We covered the books. I feel like there was something else. Where was that? Oh, um, I want to talk more about medical coding. If you're someone who's new to this and you're like, Victoria, I'm ready to go, like, but I'm holding back because I don't want to start right now and then have to buy new books in 2025. As a medical coder, you have to get access to new books every year or some kind of equivalent. If you're working in the field, oftentimes your employers will buy you some kind of lookup tool or something so that you can look up codes. So I wouldn't let that necessarily hold you back from starting now. If you're looking for a program where you can get into medical billing and coding and you can start training, I would say to sign up for my free medical coding masterclass. Medical coding masterclass. And that's my career masterclass. It tells you all about how to get started in medical billing and coding. It tells you about Preppy, which is the program that I recommend because they take, like, the best care of my viewers. I've had people where they'll, like, say something on my channel, and they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, Victoria, I did Preppy, and I didn't like this." Occasionally, I get those, and then I'll email Preppy, and I'll be like, "Hey, what's going on with, this person?" They'll be like, "Oh, we saw that. We already took care of it. We've offered them this. We got them tutoring. We got them in the right, blah, blah, blah." So, they're so quick. They're so on top of things, and they're amazing. They've made so many changes and they really do listen. Like, when coming back to them, I'm saying, "My viewers are saying, like, they don't like this." They're like, "You know what? We've really amped up our customer service. We've really done this. We've added these new tools in." Like, they're on top of it. They're great. So that's the program I recommend. Disclosure, I do get a commission fee for any students that sign up for Peppy. I am very transparent about that. I'm not trying to hide that from you at all. If you want to go through a different program, you can go through the aapc.com. You can go to your community college. You can go through a local technical school. There's no shame in doing that at all. I won't be hurt by it. Yeah, yeah. Bestie Bryce saying Preppy's awesome. Like, seriously, they're so fast with any issues or questions of the program itself. And that's coming from zero experience. It's been really easy to grasp. Awesome. Yeah, see, I'm telling you guys, like, it's a great program. And you can find out more about Preppy by signing up for my free career masterclass at medicalcodingmasterclass.com. Oh, I did also want to mention I've been getting some questions about if I'm going to go to, I guess, the AHIMA conference is coming up. AHIMA, not my favorite because I've been hearing more and more that people are just having issues with even submitting their CEUs and stuff, and I'm not a member of AHIMA. I will not be going to the AHIMA conference. I'm not going to the NAMUS conference this year. I'm so sorry, guys. Like, it was just I got way too much going on, and I need to recoup right now. And the amount of money that I would have to dump into going to the NAMUS conference right now, and take 2 flights. That's one of the things that's really holding me up too, is I don't wanna have to take connecting flights. Um, so I won't be at the NAMUS conference this year, unfortunately. It's just too much going on. I think I was asked to help out at the polls this year too, so I'm waiting for a phone call for them to say, "Hey, Victoria, can you come help us out?" So, yeah, I'm looking forward to HealthCon though, 2025. I already got my room booked for that, and then trying to think of who all I want to interview. So if you're someone who's like, "Victoria, can I come on the channel?" Like, and you have something you wanna share, like, definitely let me know 'cause, it makes it easier if I know who's already, like, foaming at the bit that wants to come on and be on the channel and get interviewed at HealthCon. Hannah's asking, "Do I have any courses for auditors?" I don't. Right now, I just spent so much time redoing the CRC stuff, or I guess risk adjustment coding stuff, so yeah, yeah. It's a lot, and, auditing course would be a lot. I'm toying with the idea I'm toying with the idea of reaching out to Corella and offering up my place as a project extern site, because I feel like if I had someone here to help out with some of the tasks, I might be able to get some more things done. The problem that's holding me back, though, is I mean, I have a physical location. People can come here and help me out, but it's not like I can give them charts to code, or I'm like a healthcare organization. So what I would really need someone to help with would be like to QA questions that I make or make some questions so that I can, verify them and do some content. Um, I have some website stuff I might need them to maintain that's medical coding adjacent. So, like, there's, like, some coding-ishy things, but I don't know, I'm not sure how I feel about bringing in an intern for a little bit to do that when I'm not really like a billing coding business. It's more so a lot of educational stuff. What's your view on micromanaging in the field? Awful. I personally have been micromanaged to the point that I had basically a nervous breakdown. And I had one of those bosses that would, how do I put it? Like, I don't know, it was a weird situation because she would like leave gifts for me, but then kind of treat me kind of crappily as a employee to the point that like my employees, because I was a supervisor and she was in a higher position, my employees were saying things about how badly I was getting treated. And it was, yeah, not great, not great. And the micromanagement, it was like she would ask me questions that she already, I feel like, knew the answer to, but was kind of trying to test me. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of micromanagement. I feel like sometimes it's necessary depending on what kind of leadership that person might need. They might need a little bit more of a micromanagey style, but oftentimes not. Yeah, Elizabeth, I HealthCon this year is gonna be awesome, though. The regionals are great too, though, and a lot of times it's very similar educational content. Um, I don't remember where regionals are this year. I don't know. I can't remember where they are. I know. I'm trying to remember. I feel like they told us at last HealthCon regional, but I can't remember. Oh, yeah, it's in California, right? It's in, is it San Francisco? Too far from Disneyland. That's all I know. That's all I know. It's in California, but not Disneyland. Which which I don't know. I might be hopping over to Disneyland afterwards. That might be my whole thing. Where can I get your course? So the right now, the only course I have is my risk adjustment coding review course, which is for people who've already studied. I don't teach medical coding, like 101 because it's way too much. I want to keep a small scale business, and for me to teach medical billing and coding would have to make me scale my business to a degree that I would not be able to keep up with based off of the demand. So if you go to medicalcodingmasterclass.com, that's where I refer everyone out to for general medical billing and coding information and for the course that I recommend, which is Preppy. But if you're looking for the CRC review course, you can go to contempocoding.com and I have that available there. Yeah, regionals are gonna be in San Diego, California this year, which is cool. I've only been to California once, and that was for Disneyland. I have a one-track mind when it comes to that. Absolutely a one-track mind. Okay. So, with that said, thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you guys in the next live stream. Now that I've got my internet working, I am hopefully going to be able to do these more frequently, and we're gonna be seeing more content now that I've gotten a bunch of projects off of my off of my to-do list. I'll see you guys in the next video, and until then, just keep on coding on.